Yeah, well, normally, as you know, I don't let Lassie get right next to my sleeping bag, but as she's kind of here and kind of not wet at this moment in time, I thought, well, we'll just let it pass just for the minute, because it kind of looks cute and sweet. So there's a little bit of Lassie by sleeping bag footage. Good girl. Good girl. So it's 9:30 in the morning. I got here obviously last night. When I was coming up that hill by the stream, my original plan was to come up the stream and take a right hand turn at the top of the stream and then come in towards the tarn, and probably should have stuck with that plan. In the end, I went to the left and then around the back and ended up sort of coming around behind that way a bit, and it was a little bit longer winded. Anyway, I got here, but it was getting quite dark. Thank you to Scott Perry, I hope you don't mind me name dropping, you know, for recommending this area. He's the lone explorer. He's approaching 1,000 subscribers, so I'm sure he'd appreciate a few subs himself. The terrain here, I have to say, wasn't quite as camp friendly as I was expecting, Scott. It's a little bit sort of rough and tussocky, and so I had to have you know, a little look around, but luckily, thankfully, I found a little flat area. You wouldn't get a second tent particularly close to this one. So it took me about 15-20 minutes of, or maybe 10 minutes to be honest, of looking around this area. Thankfully, it was still light when I got here, but everything just took a little bit longer than I was expecting. You know, I thought it would take maybe an hour or so to get here walking, but it was uphill all the way, and it wasn't a steep uphill. It was uphill nonetheless. So it took about an hour 45. And like I said, that did, fair enough, I did include, you know, stopping for filming and such like, so it wasn't too bad really. It was a nice walk. It was a little bit on the misty side, but again, not so misty, at least I could see what was around me. And then I got up here, eventually got up here. It's kind of one of those situations where you're walking, you're thinking, we're there yet? Because you see a rock in the distance and you kind of think, okay, that rock must be the tarn just the other side, and it was kind of like, are we there yet? Are we there yet? But eventually we got there. And then I pitched the Trailstar. Now you notice I've got the silnylon Trailstar this time. I got it obviously, yeah, I know, a couple of months ago. I seam sealed it. I knew the weather would be potentially damp, so I thought it would be a good test for the, you know, I thought it would be a good test for the silnylon Trailstar, just to bring it out, because obviously, whilst I must admit I do prefer the Cuban Trailstar, obviously the silnylon Trailstar is the popular one with people, and understandably so. So I thought, well, I ought to just use it now and again, you know, as well, so that you know, people can see it. And if people have got questions on this particular one, then obviously, you know, I'm actually, you know, I have used it. Although it's very, very similar. It's similar to the Cuban one, but just it's not so much of a pig, to be honest. Although I pitched it quite high, and I think I'm pitching it quite high because I've got, you know, quite a bit of room over. Okay, the side is here, but if you go into the middle here, there's a lot of room. So I actually pitched it probably on the higher side, which is, I must admit, probably why I didn't get a very tight pitch on a couple of the edges. Funnily enough, there. But anyway, we got it set up, and then I put the ground sheet in. And basically, what I did with this one is I loosely pitched it. Then I put the ground sheet in. Luckily, it wasn't raining. And I kind of put the ground sheet where I wanted because it's very lumpy and bumpy in here. Very, very lumpy and bumpy. You know, and just, you know, luckily, is like I said, I just found one space where I could pitch, you know, where it was flat enough to lie down on. So I kind of put the Trailstar over the top of that, but then before I finalised the Trailstar pitching, I put the ground sheet down, so the ground sheet was exactly where the particular flat bit was, because there's a big lumpy bit. This is a big raised mound here. There's quite big lumpy bits there. We've actually got a bit of a water garden going on over there because it's been raining on and off most of the night. I'm not quite sure what my plan is for the next couple of nights. It's obviously now Friday. I think it's Friday. I'm sure it's Friday. It's definitely Friday. Friday, yeah. So it's Friday today, and I'm obviously heading back Sunday. So I've got today here and tomorrow here, and then obviously, as I say, I head back Sunday. So I need to be at least no further from the car than I am here, because to get back to Bristol from here is like, you know, 6+ hours realistically for me with stops. I did it in 2 goes coming up because I knew I'd be far too tired to do it in 1 go, but I will have no choice. I got to get back in 1 go. I was hoping there was going to be a signal here, because I must admit, whilst I don't want to be using the phone so much, it is useful for, you know, contacting home, you know, just to check in. And just generally it's nice just that I know we shouldn't be nosing on Facebook and things like that, but it is quite nice to have a bit of a signal. But there's no signal here at all. I reckon this whole area is probably cut off from a signal. So I might just walk up. There's a mountainy, hilly thing, Kirkfell or something or other. My map's on the other side of the bag, which is helpful. Anyway, there is a hill just up here, which isn't too far. It's the one that goes around this valley, and I think that would be quite doable to get up there. But it's raining, it's miserable weather, and I sure as hell ain't doing it in bad weather. I'm just far too lazy and anything else to do that. But I was hoping to do an unboxing video of the Hero GoPro 10. I carried the whole bloody box with me. I've not even undone it or anything. So we'll kind of see on that. I might start the unboxing, but it quite literally might just be starting it, because I know for a fact that when you turn it on, it needs to update straight away. And of course, in order to update, you need a signal. So that's a bit of a it's just a bit of a pain there's no signal here. I could have done with a, I must admit, I could have done with a signal here, but never mind. And I doubt if I move camp that way, or you know, there'll be a signal anywhere else around here. So probably, and I was hoping to do a live stream Saturday evening as well. But again, with no signal, you know, I'm rather screwed on that one. And I'm busy next week. I'm away for a few days next week, so I'm probably screwed on that one too. So a bit limited. So we're just going to be sort of sitting here, relaxing, unwinding, chilling out. I let the rain pass. I check the forecast and hopefully the rain goes by lunchtime. If it does, then I might just try and get up that hill over there and see whether I can get a signal up there just to send a message home, because I know Mum was going to try and buzz me, but of course, you know, nothing's going to get through down here. But what I am going to do is, obviously I used half power on my phone yesterday, so I'm going to put some power into my phone. I'll top up the power on the GoPro and the little mics here. I can do that now. I didn't do it overnight. I don't like leaving things charging overnight because I never really know whether it's going to drain the power packs or not. I know it won't, because they will turn off and everything, but I'm always a bit wary of whether they'll just keep charging and drain power. So I'm going to do that now, because I'm not planning on going anywhere for at least 2 or 3 or 4 hours. And if I do, quite literally, I'm going to stay here and try and get up that hill over there, and just see if there's a signal, you know, over there. Other than that, my most likely plan is that I stay here, stay in camp here, and just relax in this, just take some video and things in this area. You know, there's no signal. I really don't think there's going to be a signal if I move, you know, half of a kilometre that way or something. I think this whole valley here is going to be out of a signal, but we'll kind of see how it goes. Me relaxing and just taking it easy is the main thing. You can see at the moment it's just mist, a complete mist in thing. Completely misty out there at the moment. There is can't see anything. If that mist stayed, I probably wouldn't even bother going up that hill, although I might try this if it was misty, just for some fun. But I must admit, I'm not a big fan of the mist. I'm not worried about it, and with today's technology and everything else like that, you're not really going to get lost. And it doesn't worry me. I don't start screaming, crying and everything else. Oh, it's misty. But I must admit, if I can avoid it, I tend to try to avoid it. But like I said, we'll see what it's like later. Anyway, in the meantime, I'm going to put power into the phone, because I did use a bit of power just checking maps and things like that yesterday. So I'll put some power in there, power into the GoPro. It's coming up to 10 o'clock, so it's my usual mess. And like I said, we've got the water garden feature over there. Lassie, I put her bed there. You can see, but she lay mostly here, bizarrely. And of course, it's raining and not very nice, and she's gone outside. All right, that's enough of me waffling along. 15 minutes. All right, I'll catch you later. Testing. Well, I thought I'd give you a little update. I thought I'd give you an update. It's 1 o'clock and we haven't moved. The weather is, the weather is pretty manky. The pond certainly isn't shrinking any. It's pretty much not stopped raining. You can probably see the rain running down here. I mean, it's not super heavy rain, but it's pretty unpleasant rain. You can see the rain beading off very nicely. So one thing we can take from this, when you seam seal your silnylon Trailstar, you know, it does it does keep you dry when it's done correctly. Obviously, when I had my original, which I still have, silnylon Trailstar, and I hadn't quite sealed it properly on that infamous I had to abandon camp trip. God, I was going back a bit. That was best time, I think. Bloody Christ, oh bloody mighty, where does that? But yeah, I'm sure it was, I'm sure I had best then. Where does the time go? Have I really been doing this that long? God. Anyway, yeah, so obviously we had a few drips on that trip. Biggest drip me. But at least this time we have sealed the Trailstar properly, so no leakages. It's 1 o'clock. I really do want to try and get out and try and get up that hill, if nothing else, just to try and get a message home. It's not the end of the world, you know, if I can't, but and if there's no signal up there, there's no signal up there, you know. I can't do much about it. And where the car is parked, there's no signal. This whole valley could very well be, you know, completely cut off. So I've put the kettle on. I'm going to make a tea. What I'm going to do is show you basic map reading. So it's pretty much a straight line, to be honest. So we're at low time here. The car's parked down at Overbeck Bridge, and we're pretty much exactly where the top of the L is of the low, and I've taken a compass bearing to get me up to this path up here to Red Pike. So Red Pike is 828 meters, and we're down here at about 500 meters. So it's 300 meters up there. That's quite a climb. My plan really is just to try and get up to this neck of the woods here, see if there's a signal here, and get up to Red Pike. You know, that's the highest point, and basically just come straight back down here. It's less than 2 kilometers there and 2 kilometers back, which doesn't seem it's not very far. It's no distance at all. It's only 4 kilometers, which is what, about 3 miles. But it's, I must admit, given how knackered I am these days, even that seems like quite a trek, especially with this miserable weather out there. It's not exactly inspiring to get out there. So I'll kind of try and get going. I'm just going to leave everything here. Obviously I'll take valuables with me, and we'll just get up there and we'll see whether there's a signal up there. But like I said, it's 1 o'clock now. I'll give it until about 2. If it starts to clear up, I was hoping the weather, because when I looked at the forecast before coming here, it was kind of saying like an 80-90% chance of rain in the morning, and then in the afternoon about a 50-60% chance or something. So we're into the afternoon, so I'm kind of hoping that it will clear up. But again, because I have no signal at all, there's nothing, I can't check the forecast. Obviously I have weather on the watch, but it's reliant on the phone, a signal, but there is no signal, so I can't check the forecast, you know, at all. All I can tell you is that the barometer is showing 1021 or something like that, and steady. It hasn't dropped anymore, so I have the barometer on the watch, so you can kind of use that. I can also just kind of just check the, because really when you're out here you're pretty reliant on the barometer, aren't you? That's the only thing that you can check. Interesting, the barometer on my watch shows 1021 and the barometer on here shows 952. Mind you, this might not have been calibrated recently. Well, we got here at 6 o'clock and the barometer at 6 o'clock last night was 971 millibars, 957, 955, 953, 952 at 7 o'clock this morning, and it's been steady around the 952 mark. I have the barometer on here. Even if the actual numbers are incorrect, clearly it's dropped ever since I got here, and been dropping ever since I got here. So we got here around, because at 5 o'clock I was still walking, I think, so we'll ignore the 5 o'clock one, and then 6 o'clock I was definitely here by 6 and it was 971, and then like I said it's dropped down to 952. So it's dropped since last night, and no signs of no signs of a raise there whatsoever. So we can go by the barometer even if we don't have BBC weather or the Met Office or any other weather like that. We can go on the assumption, going by the barometer alone, that the weather is not going to improve anytime soon. So I kind of think that we have to give it a shot by 2 o'clock and see how it goes, if we're going to go. Otherwise I'll stay here and relax and chill out and not worry about anything. But we'll probably give it a crack. If I do and it stays bad weather like this, then I need to take off this which is attached to the side here, take off the media mod, because if I try and film outside I will have to use the just the build kit, built-in microphone, because I don't want the GoPro getting wet. Alright, well I'm going to have a tea. I'll see how the next hour goes, and we'll maybe give it a crack. Let's see. In case there are people out there who again say and think that you need spare clothing, you don't necessarily need spare clothing, because my system is this. I have a t-shirt, I have a long sleeve merino shirt, which is 2. I usually have a shirt, which is 3. It's a little bit damp. I'll explain why in a minute. That's my underlay is 3. So 1, 2, 3. Then I have a fleece 4. It's in here. Just a light fleece. I'd actually forgotten that I had this actually. But so fleece 4. Wind shirt 5. Waterproof jacket 6. And a down jacket 7. Realistically, that's actually 1 more than you could say that you actually would need. But it's better to have 1 more than 1 less. But basically nothing is double. So I got 1 t-shirt, 1 merino long sleeve, 1 shirt, 1 fleece, 1 waterproof, 1 wind shirt, and 1 down jacket. If I was going to leave any one of those items behind on the average walk, it might be the shirt. I quite like a shirt. They're just handy. Walking into camp yesterday, given that I knew the weather wasn't going to be so good, but not warm but not cold, as you know, or you may know, I like my wind shirt for nighttime wearing. It's just very convenient and handy, and I knew that the weather could potentially be damp or wet. Now usually I wear my wind shirt when I'm walking, but because I knew the weather was going to be inclement, I wore my waterproof and packed the wind shirt away. So the wind shirt was dry when I got into camp, and this t-shirt was dry when I got into camp. This is why. For walking, I wore the long sleeve merino, my shirt, and the raincoat. And because it wasn't really raining very much, but it was quite damp in the air, I didn't bother doing the raincoat up. So of course, my merino got damp, my shirt got damp, which is why it's still a little bit damp. The merino's actually dried out a little bit better, but that's because I was hanging it up, and the shirt I stuck under my bed. And obviously the raincoat got damp. But of course, when I got into camp, I still had a t-shirt for wearing in bed. My wind shirt was dry because I'd packed it. And amazingly, I actually thought that I would need more than that in camp. I thought it would be quite cool, but it is very, very mild. Very, very mild. It must be 15, 16 degrees. It's quite mild. So I didn't even take the fleece out of the bag, which I must admit last night I'd forgotten about completely, but I didn't need it. And my down jacket is still packed away. You don't need spare clothing, but just take enough of everything that you're likely to need. Now, if it was very, very, very cold, what would I do? With all the items that I've got, well, my t-shirt I would still keep for nighttime wearing, and I would probably keep that in the dry bag with the sleeping bag. I'd wear my long sleeve merino, my shirt, my fleece, I'd wear the fleece if I had to, and then the raincoat over the top of that. And that would probably be enough, unless of course it was very, very cold. And that would be enough for most weathers. If it was very, very cold, I would substitute the fleece for a warmer fleece. And I substitute my, this is quite a lightweight waterproof, for a probably a Paramo or something like that. Which would mean I'd still have my layering system for camp, and I'd still have my wind shirt, which in that instance in the winter I might wear possibly, you know, as well. But otherwise, if not, then I've got my wind shirt is protected, you know, if necessary, but I could wear it too. And then in camp, as an emergency, I've still got my t-shirt, which is like a base layer, and my fleece down jacket. And in this instance, because I'm in the lakes and it can get cold here, although like I said, it's being very mild. I'm surprised how mild it is, but then it's still September. My down jacket is not my lightweight down jacket. It's not a super heavyweight down jacket, but it's one that's sewn through. It's a PhD, but it's rated at -5. So I knew that, you know, just given these few clothing items, that even if what I was wearing got wet, I knew that in camp I would have as a minimum a t-shirt and a down jacket, plus of course camp socks and camp leggings for inside the sleeping bag. And I knew that that would be enough to keep me, you know, warm and comfortable in camp, even if everything else was compromised and got wet. So again, my opinion is you don't need spare clothing, you just need to have enough layers, one, to keep you warm, and two, so that when you're in camp you still have something that you could wear. Now of course, in an emergency I could wear my t-shirt, my merino shirt, wind shirt, waterproof over the top of that, and of course that would then keep me very, very warm. And let's face it, if it was that cold that I needed all of that, chances are it would be minus something or other, therefore no rain, therefore no chance that it would get wet. And when you got into camp, almost guaranteed your underlayers would be dry enough that you would then just be able to put your down jacket over the top. And that's the beauty of my layering system. So, you know, maybe that's useful for people who think you need 2 pairs of this and 2 pairs of that. You don't need 2 of anything. You just need a variety of different things, and then you're covered. I seem to do my Jedi Knight hand movements a lot recently, and that will see you through. Just a little tip for you.